Hello, my friend, and welcome to Pro Wrestling Daily. My name is Aaron Machbitz. Who would you describe as the perfect wrestler, or like they say in baseball, the five-tool player? Now, I think what's important when we're describing or thinking about the perfect wrestler, you have to think about this very specific detail. When I was training to be a professional wrestler, and I was training with his now Gunther, I trained with Gunther in Germany, here's what he told me that was very, very profound and interesting. No fan knows what you're bad at if you never show them. For example, if I'm really bad at taking an arm drag and I make it look bad and I make my opponent look bad and I make myself look bad, I will never do an arm drag in a professional wrestling match, and no fan is ever going to know that I'm bad at it. If I really only show them the things that I'm super good at and super skilled at, they're going to assume that I'm the well-rounded professional wrestler. And so that's what Gunther, or at the time I was training with him, Walter, was telling me. Now, in Gunther's matches, he executes his moves perfectly, and he doesn't do very many of them. He has a chop, a clothesline, a sleeper hold, a powerbomb, a big boot, and a drop kick. That's really all he does. Same with Roman Reigns, or same with John Cena. They have their sets of moves that they execute to the best of their ability, and then people assume they're well-rounded in terms of professional wrestlers. But guys like Roman Reigns and John Cena are more sports entertainers. Gunther is more the professional wrestling type. And now, as a fan, you don't just assume that they're really bad at certain things until they get exposed to that. But then you have the argument of like, well, is it better to be well-rounded wrestler, or is it better to be like a master of a certain craft, kind of like Bret Hart was, the excellence of execution, right? He was really, really good technical wrestler, but he also had some other parts of him that made him entertaining to watch, but he was really good at executing tight, crisp moves. Stone Cold Steve Austin was really just a brawler when he was Stone Cold Steve Austin. When he was Stunning Steve, or earlier in his career, he actually was more of a well-rounded professional wrestler. People talk about Hulk Hogan all the time. Dude, Hulk Hogan couldn't wrestle. And then they see footage of him from Japan where he could wrestle. He just didn't need to do it based on the character he was presenting. And so I think those are profound insights as fans, that the way you wrestle in the ring is also indicative of the character you're trying to represent. And I think that's very important, right? We just saw this sort of clash of styles from John Cena and Gunther. John Cena being the greatest sports entertainer of all time, Gunther being the best professional wrestler in the world right now, and those styles clashing. And so what your character is and the person you're trying, and the story you're trying to tell, also represents the moves you do in the ring and how you execute those moves. And so Seth Rollins, for example, could be described as the perfect wrestler, or, Will Ospreay, or Daniel Bryan, or AJ Styles, right? John Cena on record is saying AJ Styles is the best to ever do it. Why? Because AJ Styles can do it all. It doesn't matter what sort of the match dictates. Now, there are some wrestlers like Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar who, no matter who they face, they're dictating the pace and the style because that's the kind of wrestler they are. Then there's other wrestlers like Rollins or AJ Styles who can match their opponent's style because that's how the wrestler they want to be. And then there's John Cena, who's fucking John Cena. And so Seth Rollins was recently on a podcast with Julian Edelman, and they were talking obviously professional wrestling, and Seth Rollins described himself as the perfect wrestler who can do anything he needs to in the ring. This is exactly what Seth Rollins said. Let me read it to you. His quote is, "I can do it all. I have no style. I can do everything you need. In my opinion, I'm the perfect wrestler because I'm not too big, I'm not too small, I can fly around, but I can brawl. I can be technical. I can do any kind of match that you want me to do with no limitations. I'm strong enough to pick up guys that weigh 400 pounds, and I'm not so big that I can't sell for Rey Mysterio. So I can do anything. I have no weak points when it comes to what my style is. If you need a match, or if you need a brawl, just a knockdown, drag out fight, blood everywhere, I can do that. If you need technicians, just like boom, 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 Rob Van Dam, Jerry Lynn, I can do that. So it's like anything you need, I got it." And I don't think Seth Rollins is wrong in that regard. He can do it all. But does that limit him from being really, 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 really good at one certain thing? I'm not sure. That's a debate that we could potentially have. But I do think Seth Rollins has a really good point that he can sort of mold himself into any style. And so any type of match that he might have, whether it be Hell in a Cell versus Cody Rhodes, or sort of a brawl versus CM Punk, or like a fucking fist fight and sort of a going against a heavyweight like Roman Reigns, or just going pound for pound versus AJ Styles. Like, he can fit any of those molds. And then again, you have other wrestlers like Roman Reigns and Gunther and Brock Lesnar who make their opponent fit their style. And I think both work really well. It's all about just executing what you're really good at, like what Gunther was teaching me when we were training together in Germany, right? Do what you're really good at, execute those 3, 4, 5 moves to the best of your ability, and then most fans are going to think, wow, this guy can do it all. Now, at certain points in John Cena's career, he did get exposed for being not a very good wrestler. That's why he went to people like Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens and AJ Styles to make sure that he could cover up those holes in his game and make sure he was better. And then he got better as time moved on. You see that United States Championship Open Challenge that he had, right? He was wrestling some of the best guys in the world, and he could go pound for pound, toe to toe with them in the ring. John Cena improved his game over time, and so did his repertoire. You see the matches he had with Logan Paul. You see the matches he had with AJ Styles in his farewell tour. He could actually wrestle, and he knows the pacing of the match is also super important. The timing, the execution, where to put things, that is all learned through experience. But you want to get as a wrestler, you want to get really, 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 really good at your set of moves, because then the casual fan is going to assume you know how to do it all. But like my example, you may not be very good at taking an arm drag. You just don't show people that. And that's the beauty of professional wrestling. And so you can take the mindset of like a Gunther, a Brock Lesnar, a Roman Reigns, where you make your opponent fit your style, or you take the mindset of like a Seth Rollins and an AJ Styles, where you mold yourself to fit whatever your opponent is, so you can match their energy and match their intensity, or match what the match needs, whether you're in Hell in a Cell, you're in a brawl, you're in a technician match, you're in a, whatever the case may be. I think that's really, really cool. As a fan's perspective, we're looking at what the wrestler can do, what his character represents, what story he's trying to tell, and how the moves he does shape that story and that character. You can tell that a lot with Gunther and Drew McIntyre and things like that. You can tell that with Roman Reigns and with Brock Lesnar and with John Cena, the way they move, the way they wrestle, their character, their sets of moves, how they present themselves, all is in this one sphere of what they want the fans to be attached to. And I think Seth Rollins does that too. That's why he's like the vision and the architect, because he can do it all, and he also claims to be the perfect wrestler. Do you agree with that? Is there a such thing as a perfect wrestler? What would you do if you were a wrestler? Would you have like an all-around moveset, or would you really dial in on one specific technique or moveset and really be the master of that, kind of like Gunther? Or would you want to be more of like an AJ Styles, Seth Rollins type of wrestler? Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and then like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Lots of love. Cheers.